I'm breaking down the track Don't You Ever Forget by Dizzy Wright from the Growing Process album. I used to listen to a lot of Dizzy Wright back in my college days, so make of that what you will. But Dizzy is releasing music again, which made me realize that I never stopped to study his work before. And then I used that template to make a lo-fi, because why not? For the breakdown, I'll be showing the structure of the song, how simple but effective it is, especially because I feel like simplicity is key and producers like me need to be reminded of that on the daily. Okay, so the project's right here. The melodics are composed of 3 elements: the low piano,
Craig Jackson,
super bassy. It's just two chords. It's A flat minor and G flat major, and it's played twice, both patterns. Because the other pattern is the same chords, but you have the opposite. It goes G flat major into A minor.
Dizzy right.
And that plays throughout the whole song. The next sound is a synth hit that plays 2 different notes throughout the whole song. One lower note and a higher note.
We've been doing this, man.
And lastly, you have the Vox lead right here, and it plays once every 2 bars, and it's just a really nice vocal chop.
Craig Jackson. Y'all know. We've been doing this, man.
The drums are pretty nice. They're simple enough that I kept it pretty much the same on my remix. On lo-fi, you don't want overpowering drums taking attention away from the chill. So pretty basic kick and snap pattern. You can just copy it if you're really interested. But other than that, you have a hat that I don't even know if it's a hat. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a shaker. Yeah, I don't hear that snappiness of the hat. It feels more like a shaker. Other than that, you have a rim, which plays this pattern throughout. And then afterwards, there's a cymbal that is pinned to the right, giving that 3D feel to the track, because not everything is, centered. Yeah, the super pen right. It's pretty much just this pattern right here played throughout the whole song. You have a few variations where you have a bass drop right here, a melody drop right here, where you don't have the cymbals anymore and you have an open hat, but it's just like simple variation. Nothing too crazy. After that, you have a riser.
We've been doing this, man.
And that plays before every hook. The last thing I want to break down on this song is the bass, which is honestly the most interesting part, even though the notes are basically just playing and following the root note of the chords. So G and F, G sharp and F sharp. In between the chord pattern, you have this rising effect right here. And it's such a nice effect. I'll definitely be testing this out when I'm like producing and thinking about interesting things to do with the bass. At first I was convinced, and you can even see here, that I thought it was a reverse bass, but it actually isn't. It's just a really, really long glide. For example, here on FL, you just put a note, double click it, click glide and accept. Now you have a little mark, meaning that it's gliding. And how the glide works? Well, you have a note from where the sound's gonna start, and you have a glide on top of it. Now, this is when the glide's gonna start, and this is where it's gonna end. So if you have it really short, it's just gonna go whoop, and it's gonna move from this note to this note really fast. Now, if you have it really long, it's gonna be the effect that you have on a song where it takes forever to reach, for F to reach G, F sharp to reach G sharp. Such a cool effect. It gives all, to me, there's 100% of the bounce of the songs right here. But yeah, now moving on to my lo-fi remix, see what I did with this to make it lo-fi. First, I need the acapella, so I download the song and I go to vocal remover, and then I just drop the song here. And as you can see, you're gonna have the music and the vocals, and you can download them separately. So it's really nice if you just want to analyze a beat and you think the vocals are getting in the way, so you can just do that, or you can just download the vocals. I find this website to be the best one, but there's many different ways for you to get your acapellas. One of them being just literally Googling for the acapella. But the effectiveness of getting the acapella varies drastically. As it is the case in this song, it doesn't work perfectly. There's still a lot of sounds that bleed in from the song into the acapella. You have a few melody hits and a few drum hits that are still persistent in the acapella. Especially because the vocal is so melodic and there is also a lot of melodic elements that are drawn out in reverb that is really difficult for it to get a clean acapella from it. But in this case, I worked with that instead of around that. In this case, I worked around that. For example, in the acapella, you can still hear the riser effect that you have on the original track.
We've been doing this, man.
Yeah, you can still hear it. But yeah, I layered that with this sound.
We've been doing this, man.
It's a similar sound, so it's really helping mask the original sound and is adding to the original sound. Please forgive the fact that it's going to be kind of clicky because my CPU is literally dying. Normally, the sounds would be more noticeable, but I saw the disclosure effect, which you grab the acapella.
In the building right now, real smoky. With my little nephew.
See, right here, when you have the synth hit from the original, you can still hear it pretty well here, but here you can't hear it at all.
With my little.
That's because of the disclosure effect that I was talking about. They use a transient shaper, a transient processor in the case of FL. Here I have it on max, so it cuts the tail out of a sound. In this case, it's really good because there is a lot of reverb that stay when I pull the acapella from the song. And this will cut out that and make the vocal more snappy, and in some cases, like it is on the second synth hit right here, it will completely eliminate it. Now that can make the vocal sound a little bit weird, but you can bring all that room back by using a reverb afterwards. Since I'm already talking about the vocal, I doubled some parts on the chorus to create an emphasis. I did some micro shift to change the frequencies of the sounds, because if I was to just double it, I might run into some phasing issues. I also added its own delay and reverb. And as you can see, there is an automation on the volume, so the vocal doesn't just come in super loud, and instead you have a rising effect. Now the piano. I extended the chords to a 9th chord and a 7th chord. And I also added some grace notes. The pianos that I'm using are a combination. This is the piano blue playing in the lower octave, and the oratorio one playing at a higher octave, same melody. It is lo-fi, so basically jazz for millennials. And jazz is all about groove and swing, so as you can see right here, the notes are late on the grid. And I have the chord strummed, so all the notes are not playing at the same time. Now, I've done more than just this. I used a patcher preset, which is honestly amazing for making jazzy and lo-fi type beats. You don't want to have programmed chords feel like they're programmed. So this preset right here, humanizer, it creates pitch variation, volume variation, volume speed and volume variation. So all the notes are having that little radio effect that you get with pitch variation. Volume speed, all the notes are not going to be playing at the same velocity, and you have some volume variation, so you have basically a variation in volume. These still work in tandem, and this isn't going super hard. The effects are not super noticeable because I already have here some variation in velocity that I manually did. Now let's see if I can play these two together without my computer exploding. Yeah, you can hear the top notes playing forever, and I love this tail, the wobble effect that it gives after it's done playing. Fire. This piano blue, I got it because I saw Mark Rebier,
What kind of name is that, dog? It's hard as hell to pronounce. What is it? Rebier? What?
Rebier.
Rebier.
Like
Rebier. Rebier.
respond to a comment on Twitter that was asking, what is the best piano VST? And he responded, this one, without a doubt. I got it, loved it. And it works really well with lo-fi type beats. Other than the piano, I have this hit right here. And it's playing two different notes, similar to what I had with the synth from the original track. At first, I was supposed to layer this, but it felt so much better to just have this gliding synth responding to the piano. You see, when the piano is not playing or not dominant, you have this glide coming in. It's just an effects patch that I did some sound design on. This is the part that I use a lot of detection plugins to detect keys, see what the chords are, and I'm gonna do a video talking about all of them, but they do not replace your ear. In this case, if I were just to follow what it was named on the sound, right here it says that it's C sharp minor. I put it on E major right here, which is the corresponding major to C sharp minor, and now I'll be able to play it on the piano. Now, I felt like it should be A and G, but if I was to stay in key, it would be A sharp and G sharp, but this just feels so much better. And ultimately, even though you have plugins or you have names of sounds telling you that this is the key, ultimately you gotta do what's best, what your ear is telling you it's right. I gave up on the idea of having a top melody, and instead I had this call and response effect. And to emphasize it, instead of having just the synth hit respond to the piano, I did something with the Vox that was in the original song. First of all, because it is a Vox, the Acapella remover didn't do a great job removing it from the track. You can still hear the Acapella perfectly.
In the building right now, real smoky.
So what I did was I took that, made it unique so it wouldn't be affected by the effects on the vocal, and did the same thing I did with the layers on the hook, which is microshift, delay, and reverb. And it sounds pretty good. That way I'm layering already what the vocal remover couldn't remove, and I'm creating this call and response thing with the Vox and then the hit responding to it.
Yeah, Craig Jackson. In the building right now, real smoky. With my little nephew, Dizzy Wright.
Okay, like I said, the drums are pretty much the same. There's the cymbal, the rim. The bass, instead of using an 808, I just use a sub patch. I usually don't use those, but this worked way better than I thought, especially with the glide. The glide sounds really good with it. Oh my god. That glide sounds so good. And again, same thing, just following the root notes of the chords. Other than that, for the drums, I have a chop from hi-hats that I just chopped it up because I wanted this open hat at the end of every 4-bar loop. 8-bar loop. And lastly, the most important thing you need to have on your lo-fi track is some rain. I'm joking, but like honestly, ambiance is super important when you're making those moody tracks. And that's the breakdown of the track and how I made it lo-fi. Thanks for watching.